All right, Aries, let's get into your reading. All right, the message that I have for you today is this, and it hits with raw, undeniable intensity. This person stands in a place that no longer fits, and they know it deep in their bones. Unhappiness has settled into the life they currently occupy, and it presses against them from every single angle. Where they stand does not reflect what their soul craves, and that mismatch is tearing them slowly apart. Restlessness defines their waking hours lately, and nothing around them brings the spark they desperately need to feel. Here's where it shifts, though, because you are the exception to every hollow thing they experience daily. Something about your presence rewires them entirely, and no other human being on this earth replicates that effect. Whatever you carry reaches parts of them that have been dormant, and it jolts them, fully awake inside. I feel like the cards will break this wide open today, and the message only deepens from here. Let us go ahead and get into it, because what comes through for this reading is absolutely extraordinary. Our first card arriving is the Tower, and it confirms the collapse of everything they previously settled for. Appearing without mercy, this card declares that their current reality is actively crumbling beneath their very feet. Foundations built from convenience rather than truth are fracturing, and the breakdown accelerates with each passing week. Comfort zones they clung to for years have become suffocating, and the Tower demands they stop pretending now. Dissatisfaction is no longer a whisper for them. It has become a roar that drowns out absolutely everything. Walls that once provided stability in their personal world now close in tighter, and escape feels critically urgent. What the Tower reveals is that this discontent runs structural and deep, not temporary or remotely situational. Clarity rising from the rubble of their former life points one direction, and it leads unmistakably toward you. Destruction of the old must happen before anything authentic replaces it, and that demolition is already fully underway. Amidst all that chaos and crumbling, one single truth remains untouched, and it involves what you awaken. Then we have the Two of Cups, and this card captures exactly why no one else even compares. Bonds this specific and rare cannot be duplicated anywhere, and Two of Cups validates that with total certainty. Chemistry operating on a frequency that excludes everyone else defines this connection, and the cards confirm it fully. What you stir inside them transcends physical attraction, reaching emotional and spiritual layers nobody else has ever accessed. Recognition lives at the core of this card, telling me they sensed something in you immediately. From the first encounter, a part of them understood you were different, and that knowing never once faded. Mirror quality radiates through this connection, reflecting back pieces of themselves they believed had vanished forever from reach. Irreplaceable is the only word that accurately describes your impact, and they carry that awareness with deep reverence. Every substitute they have tried falls flat, and the contrast between you and everyone else remains absolutely staggering. Our final card for this opening is the King of Wands, revealing the fire you ignite deep within. Passion bordering on obsessive devotion activates whenever your energy enters their orbit, and they cannot replicate it elsewhere. Inspiration and ambition flood through them because of you, and without that current, their world feels colorless. Around you, they become the version of themselves they actually respect, and losing that access devastates them entirely. Creative and emotional vitality pours through them in your presence, and without it, everything feels flat and hollow. King of Wands confirms you do not merely attract them, you fundamentally transform their entire lived experience. Fire of this magnitude does not ignite for convenience. It demands a catalyst only you can provide. Magnetism of this caliber has never crossed their path before, and the cards leave zero room for doubt. Growing louder by the day, their discontent stems from knowing what exists when you are around them. You represent everything their current situation lacks, and that contrast drives their restlessness forward without any relief. Cards collectively confirm this message is rooted in absolute truth, and not a single pull contradicts it. Unhappy there and electrified here. That is the full picture, and the reading only goes deeper from this. So, let us go ahead and dive into what has been happening on your side of all this. Quietly, you have been carrying a weight, and most people around you would never even notice it. Awareness of something magnetic pulling at your attention has grown impossible to dismiss, and it consumes your focus. Caught between guarding yourself and surrendering to instinct, you feel the tension of that divide every single day. Exhaustion from pretending indifference has started wearing you thin, and maintaining that facade takes everything you have. Underneath the composure you present outwardly, a battle rages between logic and raw, unfiltered feeling without ceasing. Nights hit differently for you lately, and the stillness amplifies questions you suppress during daylight hours effortlessly. Wondering whether you imagined the intensity of what you felt keeps circling, and it never truly resolves. Our first card for your energy is the Queen of Swords, and she reflects your guarded intellectual defense. Sharp and observant by nature, you dissect this situation from every conceivable angle without any break whatsoever. Rationality has become your shield against being hurt, and you wield it with precision that borders on exhausting. Analyzing every interaction for hidden meaning occupies your mental bandwidth, and it leaves little room for genuine peace. Training yourself to lead with your mind, even when your heart screams, that defines how you navigate this. Cutting away emotion to protect yourself is a pattern you perfected long ago, and it activates automatically now. Clarity you seek through overthinking never arrives, because the answers you need live in feeling, not logic. Intellectual armor you constructed serves its purpose, but it also blocks the very intimacy your spirit craves. Perceptive enough to read between every line spoken, you catch details others overlook, and that skill isolates. Now we have the Four of Cups, and this card reveals the emotional plateau you occupy in silence. Numbness has crept into spaces where passion once lived, and you recognize that emptiness without knowing how. Options that should excite you feel lackluster and uninspiring because nothing measures up to what you already tasted. Surrounded by offerings yet unmoved describes your romantic landscape perfectly, and Four of Cups captures that with precision. Boredom disguises itself as contentment in your daily routine, but underneath, you know the difference painfully well. Apathy toward everything that is not the real thing defines your current state, and you resent that limitation. Settling feels like a betrayal of what you know exists, and that refusal to compromise keeps you stationary. Tasting something extraordinary and now rejecting every imitation is what this card exposes, and it runs soul deep. Emotional hunger that nothing ordinary satisfies sits at your center, and you guard that hunger with fierce stubbornness. Mediocre connections could never fill this space, and that awareness requires an honesty you cannot escape from anymore. Standards you hold are not unreasonable. They are calibrated to a frequency you matched once and still remember. Our final card for your side is the High Priestess, unlocking the intuitive layer beneath all of this. Answers to every question your rational mind generates already live deep within you, and you sense that truth. Intuition has been whispering persistently for months, and every attempt to silence it only amplifies the volume further. Knowing without evidence or proof defines your current inner experience, and that knowing refuses to be argued away. High Priestess confirms that your gut has never been wrong about this, and your subconscious recognized it instantly. Trusting what cannot be measured or quantified challenges everything your protective mind values, and that tension exhausts you. Sacred knowledge you carry about this connection did not come from analysis. It arrived through channels beyond reason. Dreams and synchronicities surrounding this energy have increased recently, and each one reinforces what you instinctively know. Dismissing the signs has become harder than accepting them, and that threshold marks exactly where you currently stand. Guarding and knowing and wanting and resisting all coexist inside you, and that collision defines this entire season. Every card reflects a person caught between brilliant defense and undeniable spiritual recognition of something genuinely rare. Closer to surrender than you admit, each card confirms your instincts have been pointing toward truth all along. Now let us look at what is happening on their side, because the weight they carry is immense. Internally, they have reached a breaking point, and the strain of holding it together shows in everything. Pretending to function normally while falling apart privately has become their daily routine, costing them dearly. Smiles they offer the world mask a devastation so thorough it rewrites how they experience each morning. Emotional reserves they once relied upon have been depleted, and refilling them feels impossible without what matters. Loneliness defines their inner landscape despite being surrounded, because none of those people reach deep enough. Aching for something they cannot name publicly has turned chronic, and genuine relief never fully arrives for them. Frustration with their own inability to articulate what they need eats at them, compounding absolutely everything inside. Our first card on their side is the Ten of Wands, revealing the crushing burden they shoulder daily. Stacking weight upon weight for months has left them buckling, and they refuse to admit the strain aloud. Carrying far more than any individual should bear alone, Ten of Wands captures their reality with precision. Responsibilities and emotional obligations press down simultaneously, leaving them gasping for air between every demanded task. Refusing to ask for help has become their defining trait, and that stubbornness accelerates the collapse they dread. Obligations accepted out of duty rather than desire now feel like anchors, dragging them steadily toward the bottom. Exhaustion running beyond physical into spiritual and emotional territory. That is what Ten of Wands exposes here. Burnout has infiltrated every relationship and routine they maintain, and the only thought offering relief involves the forbidden. Unexpressed truth alongside daily demands creates a pressure inside them, and it threatens to fracture everything built. Then we have the Three of Swords, cutting directly into the grief that lives permanently at their center. Heartbreak they never processed fully still operates beneath the surface, influencing every decision they make without awareness. Grief over what they believe was lost permanently sits lodged in their chest, and dislodging it proves impossible. Specific and targeted pain radiates from this card, not vague or generalized, but aimed at one singular absence. Wounds they attempted to heal through distraction reopened the moment stillness returned, and now those wounds persist. Betrayal of their own authentic desires created the deepest cut, and they carry that self-inflicted wound silently. Choosing safety over truth damaged something fundamental inside them, and repairing it requires a confrontation they keep avoiding. Fear of repeating loss operates at their center, and that specific terror paralyzes them without any relief. Vulnerability equaling danger is the lesson that embedded itself deepest, and it governs their emotional responses entirely now. Pain they reveal to nobody controls their sleeping hours, and nighttime brings a rawness that daylight conceals. Sorrow and regret intertwine so tightly within them, and separating one from the other has become entirely impossible. Our final card on their side is the Page of Pentacles, revealing the quietest truth they carry inside. Devoted sincerity radiates from this card, and their feelings operate with a tenderness that few would ever suspect. Beneath the exhaustion and grief lives a purity of intention, uncorrupted by circumstance or the passage of time. Grounded and steady and completely genuine, their devotion is not performative. It is rooted in something profoundly real. Patience, despite suffering, speaks to a loyalty most cannot sustain, and it sets them apart from everyone. Quietly and without recognition, they invest emotionally in something they fear may never materialize into anything tangible. Planted deliberately and grown with intention, Page of Pentacles confirms their feelings are not impulsive at all. Sincerity at this depth cannot be manufactured, and the cards reflect a person whose foundation remains intact. Crushed by burden and pierced by grief, yet anchored by devotion, every card reveals that portrait without exception. Nothing about their emotional state is casual, and the layers of what they carry would stagger anyone. Enduring what would break most defines their current existence, and that endurance is fueled by what they feel. Agony dressed as composure is what truly lives on their side, and not a single card suggests otherwise. Okay, let us go ahead and see what actions are forming, because movement on their end accelerates now. Decisions that remained theoretical for months are hardening into concrete plans, and the shift is already visible. Behavioral patterns that kept them stationary have begun breaking apart, and new routines replace the old ones. Avoidance strategies they relied upon are failing them, and a willingness to confront what they postponed takes hold. External changes in their daily life signal an internal rearrangement, and those closest to them notice the difference. Schedules are being restructured deliberately, and the reorganization creates openings that did not exist even weeks ago. Calculated risks they never considered before are suddenly on the table, and they evaluate each one seriously. Conversations with people in their inner circle have shifted in tone, and hints about major changes surface regularly. Our first card for their actions is the Knight of Swords, and it charges forward with unstoppable momentum. Knight of Swords represents the fastest action card in the deck, and its presence here leaves nothing ambiguous. Swift and direct describes exactly how they intend to move, cutting through every barrier that previously held them. Overthinking has been replaced by decisive execution, and the transition from planning to acting happens without further hesitation. Words they once filtered obsessively are now being spoken plainly, and diplomacy takes a back seat to raw honesty. Confrontation they avoided for extended periods is being initiated, and they approach it with surprising readiness. Knight of Swords confirms that indecision has officially ended, and a singular, focused direction now guides their behavior. Speed at which they dismantle what no longer serves them will catch many off guard, including those closest. Old arrangements and agreements are being renegotiated or terminated, and the efficiency borders on clinical precision. Next, we have the Six of Wands, announcing a bold, public declaration that is coming from their end. Victory energy surrounds their next move, and the confidence behind it suggests they have already decided the outcome. Stepping forward visibly, rather than operating from shadows, this marks a dramatic departure from their previous pattern. Six of Wands carries the energy of a person claiming what belongs to them, openly and unapologetically. Recognition they once avoided is now being pursued, and their willingness to be seen signals a total transformation. Public gestures replace private deliberation, and the boldness of what they prepare to do will leave no doubt. Triumphant energy radiates from this card, and it suggests their next action carries a certainty that demands attention. Six of Wands also indicates a willingness to risk reputation, all for the sake of genuine authenticity. Standing tall in their decision despite potential judgment, that posture defines how they move forward entirely. Celebration of their own courage fuels the momentum, and they draw strength from finally aligning action with desire. Our final card for their movement is Judgment, elevating everything to the level of a life calling. Judgment represents an awakening so complete it restructures priorities overnight, and that restructuring is actively happening right now. Answering a call they ignored for years defines this phase, and the response they mount is total. Life decisions being made in this period carry permanent weight, and they approach each one with full awareness. Evaluating what stays and what gets released occupies their focus, and the criteria narrows to one question. Judgment confirms that half measures no longer satisfy them, and the actions they take reflect an all-or-nothing stance. Rising from the ashes of what confined them, they rebuild with intention and precision from scratch. Old identities are being shed deliberately, and the person emerging from that process barely resembles who they were. Transformation at this magnitude does not happen quietly, and the ripple effects of their decisions reach everywhere. Every card in this section points to a person in full motion, dismantling and rebuilding simultaneously without pause. Action is no longer pending on their end. It is underway and aimed with precision at this connection. Nothing suggests retreat in the current energy, and every indicator confirms forward momentum that cannot be reversed. Now, let us uncover the truths they bury deepest, because what they hide reveals more than words. Unspoken declarations sit heavy in their throat, and those swallowed words multiply in weight every single day. Privately, they rehearse statements that never reach the surface, and each deleted draft increases their inner torment. Fantasies they dismiss publicly dominate their most private hours, and none of those visions involve letting go. Shame around the intensity of what they crave prevents any honest admission, and it operates like a prison. Behind a door they refuse to open lives the thing they want most, and honesty feels too costly. Desire so specific it carries a name and a face haunts them, and they pretend otherwise to survive. Admitting what they actually want would unravel every safe structure they built, and that prospect terrifies them. Our first card for their hidden truth is the Lovers, exposing their deepest unspoken romantic declaration inside. Choosing between safety and authenticity defines the silent war inside them, and neither side fully wins. Secretly, they have already made their choice, but vocalizing it means dismantling the life they constructed carefully. Union is the word echoing through every suppressed thought, and they ache for it with devastating clarity. Imagining a life built around mutual devotion consumes their quiet moments, and those images carry architectural detail. Routines and rituals shared with one specific person fill their daydreams, and erasing those fantasies proves impossible. Hidden desire exposed by the Lovers is not abstract. It is pointed and deeply personal, without question. Choosing truth over comfort is the leap they rehearse mentally, and each rehearsal brings them closer to breaking. Duality defines their inner experience right now, torn between who they present and who they truly are. Then we have the Nine of Cups, diving straight into the wish they guard more fiercely than anything. Known as the Wish card, Nine of Cups reveals that their desire has remained unchanged for remarkably long. One very specific longing sits at the center of their emotional universe, and it orbits everything they suppress. Secretly, they believe they deserve exactly what they want, but admitting that feels dangerously close to arrogance. Exclusivity and permanent priority in one specific life. That is the confession they cannot speak aloud. Jealousy they mask with indifference flares whenever perceived threats appear, and that possessive instinct shames them deeply. Privately, they want to be the only one who matters, and that raw territorial need surprises even them. Nine of Cups exposes a person whose wish has crystallized into something immovable, absolute, and fiercely protected. Dreams about hearing three specific words directed at them replay on loop, and those imagined moments carry weight. Being claimed openly defines the confession they cannot articulate, and that single unmet need drives everything inside. Romantic idealism ridiculed in public fuels their private world, and the contradiction exhausts them beyond measure. Confirmation from Nine of Cups is clear. The wish has never wavered, and suppressing it only concentrates power. Our final card for their secrets is the Ace of Cups. unlocking the rawest emotional truth they carry. Ace of Cups represents the beginning they secretly beg the universe for, a complete emotional rebirth with purpose. Starting over with nothing but honesty and vulnerability, that is the fantasy they return to whenever defenses drop. Stripped of pretense and accumulated damage, they imagine offering their truest self without any filter or shield. Purity beneath the layers of protection would shock anyone who only sees the exterior, and it runs deep. Belonging and permanence and being chosen above every alternative without condition. That is what they ache to say. Tenderness behind sharpness is their most vulnerable truth, revealing softness they consider their greatest weakness. Ace of Cups confirms that beneath everything projected, a person desperate to love without reservation still exists. An undelivered message burns inside them constantly, and those words are so honest they tremble just holding them. Never having stopped wanting this is the truth they protect most violently, because admitting it removes every shield. Pretending otherwise has become a performance they maintain for survival, but the mask cracks wider each passing week. Every card strips another layer, and beneath each sits the same unwavering declaration, wrapped in deliberate. So let us see what the near future holds, because the cards bring extraordinary confirmation for this. Shifts building beneath the surface are preparing to break through, and the timing draws closer with every day. Our first card for the near future is the Four of Wands, signaling celebration and reunion ahead. Four of Wands does not appear unless stability and commitment are actively forming, and both arrive, undeniably. Homecoming energy radiates from this card, suggesting a coming together that feels both destined and long overdue. Recognition of what this bond truly represents reaches a tipping point, and public acknowledgement follows, close behind. Foundations for something lasting are being laid in the near future, and the architecture builds on authenticity. Joy delayed far too long enters this connection with force, and neither side anticipates its true power. Alongside that, we have the World, marking the completion of a cycle that stretched far too long. An era of separation and silence reaches its natural expiration, and closure transforms into new opening. Fulfillment that eluded both sides finally materializes, and the world guarantees the outcome carries wholeness and resolution. Everything incomplete between these two energies moves toward integration, and the process accelerates during the weeks directly ahead. Doors that remained sealed begin opening in sequence, and each leads closer to the reunion confirmed here. Global shifts in their shared dynamic replace fragmented patterns from previous seasons, and harmony takes root. Near-future energy pulses with certainty, and the transition from hidden tension to open truth feels inevitable. For advice, we have Strength, arriving with guidance that demands courage, wrapped in patience and deliberate composure. Strength advises against forcing what is naturally aligning, because gentle persistence outperforms aggressive pursuit in this situation. Inner power must be trusted above external validation, and that trust becomes the foundation for everything unfolding ahead. Leading with quiet confidence rather than desperate urgency serves this connection best, and the cards reinforce that counsel. Vulnerability presented as strength rather than weakness is the specific guidance here, and it changes the entire dynamic. Endurance through remaining uncertainty requires faith in the process, and patience is rewarded generously here. Compassion toward both sides of this equation must guide every interaction, and harshness has no place going forward. Allowing natural momentum to carry this connection forward without interference is the wisest path, and strength validates that. Courage to receive what arrives without self-sabotage is the final counsel, and it matters most of all. Let us revisit the message that opened this reading, because every single card confirmed its truth without exception. From the very beginning, the message declared unhappiness in their current situation, and that dissatisfaction proved bone deep. It declared that what exists between you cannot be matched, and every card echoed that truth precisely. Something irreplaceable lives in this connection, and no substitute comes close to replicating what you awaken. Through collapse and intuitive recognition, and private grief and mounting action, the reading built its case. From the hidden confessions they guard with everything, to the near future promising reunion, the arc completes itself. Each part reinforced the last, and the collective portrait confirms a connection rare enough to reshape lives. Consistency across every card drawn today carries genuine weight, and the universe does not assign that randomly. Day after day, the message proved itself through every pull, and not a single card offered any contradiction. What stands between this moment and the future the cards promise is patience, trust, and courageous honesty. This connection was never accidental, and every card pulled today reinforced that with absolute clarity and unwavering certainty. Carry this reading with you as confirmation that what you sense is real, mirrored, and deeply significant, always. Allow that knowing to settle gently into your spirit, replacing any lingering doubt with the truth revealed today. Thank you so much for being here with me today, and I truly appreciate you choosing this reading. Sending you all the love and warmth, and I will see you in the very next one ahead. Shifts building beneath the surface are preparing to break through, and the timing draws closer with every day. Our first card for the near future is the Four of Wands, signaling celebration and reunion ahead. Four of Wands does not appear unless stability and commitment are actively forming, and both arrive undeniably. Homecoming energy radiates from this card, suggesting a coming together that feels both destined and long overdue. Recognition of what this bond truly represents reaches a tipping point, and public acknowledgement follows, close behind. Foundations for something lasting are being laid in the near future, and the architecture builds on authenticity. Joy delayed far too long enters this connection with force, and neither side anticipates its true power. Alongside that, we have the World, marking the completion of a cycle that stretched far too long. An era of separation and silence reaches its natural expiration, and closure transforms into new opening. Fulfillment that eluded both sides finally materializes, and the world guarantees the outcome carries wholeness and resolution. Everything incomplete between these two energies moves toward integration, and the process accelerates during the weeks directly ahead. Doors that remained sealed begin opening in sequence, and each